I don't need to tell you who the man is. I don't need to tell you why he was a monster. You already know. And besides, I'm not the right person to tell that story, so I'm not going to. Here's what I can do instead. On this show, we talk about natalism, the ideology that sees declining birth rates in the West as the single most pressing issue of our time. This season, we've been looking at the people most obsessed with technological solutions to this problem. People who seek to transcend the limitations of humanity itself by optimizing their genetic code. They're growing louder, and there's an inconvenient fact that they'd like us all to forget. It turns out that quite a few of them once found a willing ear and a healthy supply of funding in Jeffrey Epstein. My name is Josh Borman.
I'm June Sternbach.
And this is Ill Conceived, a podcast about natalism. You know what? Let's just start the whole thing over again. Fuck that. That was terrible. We're throwing it out. We're starting over. And we're
not
saying,
back. It was a mistake to say we were back.
Guess what, folks? We're back. I don't know. Every single week, I feel like I start the show by saying we're back. But it's true. We are.
If you're listening, we're always back. We're always back.
That's
and
right.
Better than ever. And today, maybe not for a super fun one, but it's a fucking interesting one. It's one that I've been losing my mind over for weeks and months at this point.
Yeah, this is I'm welcoming you into a house of horrors, basically. I will say that my mental health has taken a pretty serious hit as a result of the research I've been doing for this episode, but I think that just being able to get all of this back out there is going to prove pretty fruitful. And when you're talking about something as weird and horrible and awful and out there as Jeffrey Epstein, you're going to come across some shit that is going to permanently rewire your brain for the worse. So that's where I'm at today.
It's wild how endless that seems to be too. You look into a couple emails, go down a couple of threads, pull on, tug a few of those threads, and it's like, oh my God, Jeffrey Epstein had his hand in this pie as well. Jesus fucking Christ, this dude was fucking everywhere. He knew everyone.
And hard to know how much of that is just him trying to get into these circles versus him actually being let in. Most of this we will never know because there are a lot of really rich and powerful people who have a vested interest in making sure that we don't.
Oh, yeah.
But on this episode, we are going to do our level best to dig into these specific connections in a way that is hopefully somewhat useful. And we'll do our best to not go insane in the process. I should also say, anybody who is coming in from either blood work or Better Offline, welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for enjoying us on those shows. I feel like we've gotten a lot of new listeners recently. And if that's the case, if you do like the show, you should maybe, if you want to, leave a review, rate us on whatever you listen to us on. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, we covet your support. We covet your support in the form of ratings, reviews. If you don't like our show,
you're really gonna rate an episode about Jeffrey Epstein poorly. You're really gonna side with Jeffrey Epstein.
Sus.
Jeffrey Epstein would also rate this episode about him poorly. That's a little sus.
It is. We should try to have a little bit of lightness before we descend into the shit, right, June? Do you have anything coming up that's exciting, or have you done anything recently that's been fun?
Oh, I saw fucking Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie of the year. It's pure cinema. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. If you have not seen it yet, you have to go see it. I didn't know anything about the web series beforehand. You can go in totally blind. You're better for it almost.
Yeah, I know nothing about it, and I think I would prefer to go in blind.
Go in blind. It's almost better. I think for watching the movie, it's almost ideal if you're not familiar with them. So I saw that. I saw Send Help, the new Sam Raimi movie. I've been sort of, after watching the Melania movie, I've sort of had to cleanse my palate and see the other good movies out in theaters. So I've been doing a lot of that recently. What about you?
Well, unfortunately, I would love to update you on some theater that I've seen, but I haven't been seeing it. Here's what I'll tell you. I'm about to depart on Sunday for Europe for 2 weeks. I'm going to be hitting up Dublin. I'm going to go to London. I'm also going to go to Amsterdam. So if you are listening to this show and you are in one of those cities and or for that matter, I guess if you're not in one of those cities, but you have recommendations, let me know what I should do. My schedule is already actually quite full, but if there's something, particularly in Dublin and Amsterdam, which are places I've never been to before, I do have theater tickets lined up. I'm seeing a play in Dublin. It's a new play at, I guess, the Abbey Theater. That's like their national theater, I guess. I'm also going to be seeing some shit on the West End. And I don't have anything yet planned for Amsterdam, but I am going to be going to a techno night, which I am really excited about. Yeah.
Get a taste of that European dance scene.
Yeah, you're going to find me in the damn club, June.
You're supposed to be recording the podcast, but you're at the damn club.
Yeah, I used to really be like an electronic music. Like I was at the club with some regularity in my younger days. Yeah.
Oh my God. Why not so much anymore?
I mean, I have more shit going on in my life and I got older, right? It's those are sort of the two things. But yeah, I was in the Washington, D.C. club scene a little bit when I lived there. I was
scary.
going out like 2-3 times a week.
You could be dancing and rub up on Henry Kissinger, maybe. Like, that's a dangerous scenario out in D.C. You never know. You never know who you might find out there.
Just going absolutely feral on Henry Kissinger at the Black Cat. Yeah, no, that's...
Yeah, he goes to Goth Night. You definitely knew he was in Goth Night.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, we've got our inbox, illconceivedpod@gmail.com. So any suggestions that you may have for me, for us, or if you just want to send us an email and let us know how you're doing, that's what that's there for. And if you send us an email, there's a very real chance that we will read your email in our segment, which we're about to do right now. And what it is.
The world famous mailbag.
That's right, June.
God. Oh my God. No way. Oh my God, dude.
What are you seeing in there, June? What are you seeing in the mailbag?
I'm seeing an email from Kaz.
Oh shit.
I like that we're getting like more like goofy with these as we go on. It's just like, oh wow. I feel like we're doing like a Blues Clues thing. Like, what's in the mailbag?
Yeah, we need a little bit of like Foley. Hold on. Let me see if there's something that suits for this. Here, I've got literally a letter right here. Hey, what's this? What's this in the mailbag? Oh, gotta open it up.
He's dramatically opening up actual mail. He is actually opening up mail right now. What is that? Is that a bill? What is that?
I think this is like a fundraising solicitation from the theater company.
Oh, okay.
I tore the letter in half.
Good thing that was not your email, Kaz, because we would be out of luck. So this one's titled, Belated Thank You for Your Dobson Episode. Hey folks, I just learned of your podcast via a guest appearance elsewhere and am binging to catch up. I am one of your many listeners who grew up with parents following Dobson's so-called parenting guide. My childhood was nightmare fuel, and I won't inflict an account of the full gamut of abuse I survived. Suffice to say, the quotes you read about deliberate trauma bonding followed by love bombing at the ensuing panicked compliance was nearly identical, almost word for word, in fact, to my mother's self-described parenting philosophy. She often described with pride that she would break down her children in whatever way she could, including me. I experienced this and witnessed it with my siblings countless times. We also moved out of a moderately sized city to a rural backwater where the nearest neighbor was a quarter mile away to escape the evil influences of the big city. Jesus Christ.
The nearest neighbor, like the actual nearest person, was a quarter mile away.
Horrifying.
Holy cow.
Oh my God. I've always wondered how that is growing up in like, you drive in like some of the smaller counties and it's like, dude, there's no one around. Right. You hear a crack in the
that's not for me. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah. Long story short, I am now a recovering alcoholic with a string of abusive marriages in my past who came out to myself as bisexual at the age of 40.
Let's go!
Congrats. I got a graduate degree in apocalyptic religion, basically to try to understand my childhood, and spent decades trying to figure out how Catholicism wrecked my life as my parents joined what I now recognize was a proto-tradcath movement. Then I heard your podcast and let's just say multiple mirrors shattered in my head. Much like Focus on the Family ditching Dobson and adopting poll-tested talking points, my mother learned to keep her mouth shut about her vile beliefs and conveniently doesn't remember her parenting techniques of yore. I'm gratefully estranged from both parents now and work hard at parenting my own children in a loving and affirming way that hopefully buries the trauma cycle. As someone with a master's in the subject matter, you have my ringing endorsement. Oh, thank you. You are well-researched and handle a complicated movement with many layers in a thorough and accessible way while highlighting its horrific consequences, which is not easy. Keep it up, and thank you so much. Pseudonymously, Kaz. Thank you so much for that email. I feel like I've said this before, but we've just gotten so many emails over like the half year. We've been doing this show for like over half a year at this point.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But I feel like I've totally underestimated just how many people have been affected by people like James Dobson. It's sort of, I mean, it's so sad. It's heartbreaking to hear how many people's childhoods and later in their life has been affected by this abusive way to raise your child.
At the same time, though, I'm also always glad to hear that we can sort of provide a framework to help people process what's going on there, because with the way that natalism works, the core idea is always, well, have more babies without really thinking about why are we having more babies, or what do we do with these babies after they're born?
Right. And what if you're maybe not equipped currently or ever to have those babies? There's so many questions. Yeah.
So thank you, Kaz, for that email. Next up, I'm going to read our other email of the day here. This one's from Trent.
We got a double today. Okay.
And it says, quick thank you. That's the subject line. And it says, hello, Josh and June.
Yes.
Which means that I win the mailbag for the week, baby.
Wait. Oh, fuck. I thought it was me again. This is the second time where I hear our names are too similar.
Hello,
and I was
Josh and June.
I fucking confused myself. Okay, you win. Okay.
I'm sorry, June. No offense for putting Josh first. It's just alphabetical reasons.
I get it. It's fine. I'll get over it.
I don't really have a thing to talk about in this email other than I really appreciate you both. June, I've been a fan of yours since I just knew you as the funny Twitter user with the little purple dude profile picture. And Josh, I became a fan of yours by listening to Western Kabuki.
Aww.
From there, you both have introduced me to great new pods. Obviously, both of your different pods you're a part of and the pods you have both guested on. I work at a VA hospital, and every one of my coworkers are very, very right-wing. So right-wing that one of my coworkers on my first week showed me a video of a woman whose car was being towed and said, "Look at this. That's an expensive car." To which I, not understanding what the deal was, responded, "Oh yeah, that is. What is that, a Ferrari?" And she said, "Yeah, it is. She got it because she's Somali and she got it doing fraud."
Jesus, dude. Oh.
And all I responded with was a very depressed, "Oh." There's a guy that loves to listen to Tucker Carlson with his phone connected to a speaker.
No.
There's a guy who told me
What is this office? What is this hospital? Oh,
there's
God.
a guy who told me that every video of the Minneapolis protests he's seen, it's only, quote, fat, ugly, purple hair bitches, end quote. I personally haven't seen that, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone has made some AI slop depicting that.
Almost certainly. Yeah, 100%.
So I tend to keep to myself. I position myself in the department, away from people, and listen to podcasts. I tell my friends I'm behind enemy lines. So it's nice to be able to pop an AirPod in and listen to you and others who are normal and haven't had your brain destroyed by online right-wing bullshit. It's kind of my sneaky little lefty sanctuary. Thank you for all you do and keep doing what you're doing. You're both truly appreciated. Also, Josh Grump, evangelical as well. Wits Endless Summer has made me feel seen. So thanks for that. Well, thank you, Trent.
Thank you.
That's really, really nice.
Really appreciate a long time listener at this point. Yeah. Of us, probably way before. I don't, hard to speculate. But no, I really appreciate that email. Hopefully these people get less evil. But I feel like if they're watching AI slop like that and talking about Somalis, they're in like the real deep. Like they don't even see opposition to that
it's
sort of
gonna
shit.
be
Like,
tough.
It's bad. It's really bad.
With that said, feel free to tell them about our show. I don't know if they. No, actually, don't do that.
Really
I don't think they would like it, and I also don't think that they would like to hear about themselves on our show.
Exactly. I was going to say we are talking about them.
We just
currently.
drag the fuck out of them.
Yeah. No, that will drag out this. It'll drag Trent out from the enemy lines.
That's
in
right.
a very
We need to keep Trent
situation.
undercover.
Yeah. Never tell them that you listen to podcasts. Don't even allude to it.
Good work, agent. We're very proud of you. And also, just to reiterate, if you would like to hear your words in the world famous mailbag, just send an email to illconceivedpod@gmail.com with feedback on the episode, just general thoughts that you have about the subject matter overall, and we'll generally read a letter or two each week.
Yay, cool.
All right, now that we've been lighthearted with it, let's really get into the shit, shall we?
I think I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about Epstein. I mean, I'm doing that not on podcasts all the time. So I think I'm ready. I'm very ready for this.
Well, I think this might provide you with some more ammunition that you can use in your conversations about Epstein, because I found some crazy shit this week, folks. I will say up top, right? I've said as much in the intro, we are not really going to be talking about his crimes, other than just to acknowledge the basic facts of the matter. Reason being, they've been covered extensively elsewhere. And what I find more interesting in terms of our show and its connection to all of this stuff is just like, who are all of the people who he was connected to and funding? And how do we sort of see those people in their movement reflected in the stuff that we talk about on this show with natalism?
And there's a surprising amount. Like I did some reading leading up to this, but it's like he was very well, and I think we already knew that he was very well connected to a lot of business and specifically tech and science people, but he was a lot more connected, I think, than a lot of people realized until this recent wave of, what was it, the 1 million documents that were released?
I think what's interesting about it, too, is that it shows how many of the ideas that have been bubbling around in this world, the very ideas that we talk about on this show, particularly in this season, how he was sort of taking, because Jeffrey Epstein, not a very smart guy, and we'll see some examples of this, would just sort of take these ideas, absorb them, and sort of spit them back in a half-remembered, chewed-up sludge.
That's the impression I got from reading some of these pieces about him, where he was sort of like a fucking machine. He was like an AI, the way he would talk to people. It was like, I remember this, I remember that. But whenever he was talking to these people, I forget which piece it was about, but there was a scientist that was like, well, this wasn't really a formed thought totally, but we like kind of put something together. We put a theory together sort of based off of what he said.
And so it's my hope that what we're going to get to by the end of this episode is a more constructive understanding of the world of natalism as reflected through the dark mirror that is Jeffrey Epstein, right?
And he disappointingly has a lot of thoughts about natalism
he sure does.
And genetics, unsurprisingly.
But before we do that, I just want to review the very basic facts of Epstein's life. Again, apologies if you already know all of this. I'm going to do my best to keep it brief. So, Jeffrey Epstein, born in 1953, raised in Seagate, which is a gated community on the west end of Coney Island, Brooklyn. I've never been in Seagate, but I have been up to the gate of Seagate. It's a very strange place. So he grows up in Brooklyn and graduates high school at the age of 16. From there, he goes on to the Cooper Union. And if you're not familiar with Cooper Union, it's an art school in the East Village. And he ends up transferring from Cooper Union to NYU. Notably, he does not graduate, but he studies mathematics there. And out of this, Donald Barr, who is the father of former United States Attorney General Bill Barr, hires Epstein to teach mathematics at the Dalton School, which is one of the most prestigious prep schools in New York City and, by extension, the world.
So no bachelor's degree, but still a professor. He was very well connected at a very early age to some very awful people. I don't think we need to talk too much about Bill Barr. I think this revelation of him being connected to the Barrs has been known for at least a decade now, obviously, yeah.
But the Dalton thing is weird, too, because, it being such a prestigious prep school, again, this is a place that's training people who are, like, exclusively going to the Ivies plus Stanford and Oxford, right? But in this case, they're getting him on because Bill Barr's dad just thinks he's such a fucking genius.
He's a chiller,
This is one of many, many things about Epstein's biography that doesn't make sense and never has. And another example of that is what happens next. Epstein ends up meeting with a parent of one of his students at a parent-teacher conference, right? And this guy is so taken by Epstein that he's like, hey, how'd you like to come work with me at Bear Stearns, which is a huge financial services company, right? And infamously, one of the companies that went under during the big financial crisis. This is where Epstein begins his ascent. And at every step of the way from here on out, he's going to be making more and more money, likely by committing more and more massive fraud. And again, his story is going to make less and less sense.
One thing I found interesting, especially in his ascent era right here around this time, is I read that, I believe it was the New York Mag, 2002.
That 2002 article, yeah.
Article about him. And I had never read this fully through before, but the fact that he would turn down working with people unless they had $1 billion minimum. So he was looking for like the top of the top of the top, which, as we sort of know these days, especially if the more money you have, the more sick and evil you likely are.
Absolutely. But also, like, in 1992, there weren't nearly as many billionaires as there are now.
True, yeah.
And this is yet another thing that makes you be like, this can't be true. Like, this cannot possibly be true.
And in that article, it is very odd because it is a very glowing profile of him overall. Yeah. But even throughout that piece, they're like, we don't really know how this happened. We don't really like understand it, but he's just
he's such a cool guy.
People just love this guy. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool that people just love this guy?
Really, it seems that his main gravy train was Les Wexner, the founder of the clothing store The Limited. And of course, The Limited also would end up having brands such as Victoria's Secret. Wexner was and still is a billionaire, and Epstein basically comes to manage all of his money. And one of the things that he gets as a result of his affiliation with Les Wexner is his infamous townhouse on East 71st Street, which is, by many accounts, the largest single private residence on the island of Manhattan. Now, at some point in the 2000s, Epstein begins his spree of abusing teenagers, in Palm Beach specifically, and his girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell is facilitating this, identifying potential victims, grooming them, etc. And in 2005, the police in Palm Beach start looking into him. They end up arresting him in 2006, and already there is a tremendous amount of evidence about things that this guy has done. In 2008, Epstein is convicted on charges of procuring a child for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. But behind the scenes, he's actually been working with the federal government, and they offer him an unbelievably sweet plea deal. He is only sentenced to 13 months in jail. So he's back out on the street in 2009.
Horrifying. And that's sort of the thing is it's like, okay, this guy, very well connected, lots of money, connected to a lot of other very wealthy people. He's a convicted sex criminal at this point. Yet, as we're gonna find out, he was still hanging out with a lot of people that still sort of run the country today.
So in November 2018, 9 years after that release, Julie K. Brown, who is a journalist at the Miami Herald, publishes a series of articles, and she, for years, was working on these stories, basically digging into these crimes in far greater detail than what had previously been reported. And it was mostly because of these articles that everybody started to look back into him, including the federal government. And on July 6, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein is arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. He is held at the Metropolitan Correction Center, which is in Lower Manhattan, pending trial. And of course, about a month later, August 10, 2019, he is found dead in his cell. Attorney General Bill Barr, the man whose father gave Epstein his first major job, announces the news.
God, oh my fucking God. Yeah, no, I forgot about that. That like when he did die, Bill Barr was in the government.
He was the Attorney General of the United States.
And,
under President Donald Trump.
And like I think I can speak for both of us. It's fairly obvious he did not kill himself.
Oh yeah, no, Donald Trump had him killed. Is
100%.
I'm pretty sure what happened. That's
especially
just
the more we learn about like with the Epstein files, everything. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I felt paranoid in 2019 for thinking that, but no, I certainly believe it these days, without a doubt, yeah.
That's the only piece of just absolute speculation, by the way, that I'm going to throw out there, but I do fundamentally believe that Trump offed him. That's really...
Especially with these connections that he has.
Exactly. And the things that came to light then as these additional files were revealed, including the ones that were revealed more recently. To the point of those files, there was a document dump that the Justice Department released, what was it, like maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
I think just under a month, yeah.
The Justice Department needed to come in compliance with Congress because Congress had basically ruled that the Justice Department needed to get all of these documents out into the public record. And so they did a tremendously slapdash job and basically just dumped all of them out onto a government website. Many of these were not properly vetted. There are people whose identities were not properly obscured.
Exactly, a lot of victims.
There were victims whose names and personally identifiable information, and in some cases, even photos of them naked were not correctly redacted. Really preposterously awful job from our girl Pam.
They can't even cover up these sex crimes properly.
Yes, unbelievable. But I wanted to take a look through these files. And one of the things that I did for the episode was I just sort of went through, and between reading other articles about people who had dug into the files and doing some research of my own, I looked into some friends of the show. Oh. So Peter Thiel, he is mentioned in over 2,000 of the Epstein emails.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning, especially with this recent dump. We've already known Peter Thiel was hanging out with Epstein after he was convicted in 2008, as late as 2014, 2015.
As late as 2019, June. There are emails from him right up until the year that he fucking died.
That's what I'm saying, though, is like he admitted as late as 2014. But yeah, he was very close all the way up to his death. Very close to his death, yeah.
Elon Musk is mentioned over 1,000 times. For example, Epstein invited Musk to his island, Little St. James Island, in September 2012. Additionally, among the files is a reminder that Elon Musk was expected to be visiting the island on December 6, 2014. Again, I can't prove that he was there from what I saw, but it indicates very strongly that he did go.
And we do know from some of these emails that Epstein did get a tour of a SpaceX facility at one point.
Yes, that's in the emails too. I also wanted to note, and this ties into one of the letters from our world famous mailbag, Epstein sent what appears to be one of the women he was trafficking a link to a James Dobson blog article about why people with resentment toward their abusive fathers should see them as victims of their circumstances first and foremost.
That's crazy. Like, I feel like a lot of this episode is going to be me like, oh my God, the pedophile believed really bad things also. But like, of course, it's I guess it shouldn't be shocking that someone like this, that
it's fucking crazy,
so sick in the head, is like a James Dobson aficionado. Yeah?
I don't even think he is a James Dobson aficionado is the thing. I think that he just went out, he looked for articles that are to do with this that would fit sort of his ideology. He found this one. I'm sure he didn't know who James Dobson was. I'm sure he just found this article and was like, this guy is spitting.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. And it sort of says a lot about the types of people that find James Dobson enlightening or interesting or smart. I think more to say. Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, Epstein did repeatedly attempt to get a hold of the Bell Curve co-author Charles Murray. Specifically, he was going through James Watson, the recently deceased super racist geneticist. It is unclear if they ever did connect. Murray claims that they didn't, but I just thought that was also interesting, to the point of like, even if they never connected, it's interesting that he valorized this guy and his research so highly, given what it actually says.
He seems to have a lot of odd beliefs about genetics and race in particular.
Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of that now, because in order to understand Epstein's industry and academic connections, we should really start at one of the most evil institutions in the history of humanity, which is to say Harvard University.
Awful. Now, boo.
Boo! Harvard, go Yale. Now, I should note, Epstein did not go to Harvard, right? We talked about this. He went to Cooper Union and NYU and dropped out, right? But Harvard for him was a place to gain connections with a lot of people whose work was valorized. And many of these people are, of course, named in the files and have emails in the files. Jeffrey Epstein donated more than $9 million to the university overall. And the interesting thing is, by the standards of contributions to universities, that's not that much money.
No, especially for how much he had. I mean, I guess, do we know how much money he had? Like, do we know his total wealth ever? Okay.
No.
Okay. Because that's sort of something I noticed in prep for this, is a lot of people never really knew quite how wealthy he was. which I think is interesting because he was connected to a lot of the billionaire class.
It also seems that like most of his money wasn't really his money. It was other people's money that he was playing around with, right? You know, for people like Les Wexner and Leon Black, for instance, like these very wealthy people who, for whatever reason, gave Epstein just carte blanche to do whatever he wanted with their money.
Yeah.
Even though $9 million isn't that much money for Harvard, it is a lot of money for a professor. When Harvard did a full audit of all of the money that they got from Jeffrey Epstein, one of the things that they found was that in 2003, Epstein donated $6.5 million to endow something called the Program for Evolutionary Dynamics. The Program for Evolutionary Dynamics was exactly what it sounded like. It was a program to study evolutionary dynamics. I don't know. The main.
I mean, for someone. So for context, in college, biology major, I took a few courses in evolutionary genetics. I assume it's something similar. It's usually just looking at historical reasons why certain genetic, just the mechanics behind it. It's usually like a top-down look into that field.
It's that, but it's more forward-looking than backward-looking. It's the idea of we can use mathematical models to better model where evolution is headed,
right?
With the idea that we can optimize the future development of the species itself.
I guess this is Harvard. That's some shit they would do there. Yeah.
This was basically a gift to one guy. We're going to talk a lot more about him in a moment, but I just want you to keep that top of mind. On top of that Program for Evolutionary Dynamics, by the way, Epstein got admitted to Harvard as a visiting fellow in 2005.
Oh, so he could take, I guess, what does that mean? He can be in classes. He can sort of learn without like a degree, like working towards a degree. Yeah.
And it's also just conducting research using university resources. Now, generally speaking, if you're a visiting fellow, you're going to be highly qualified in some way, shape, or form, right? You're already going to have a PhD, or you're going to be a doctoral candidate at like a major university. You're going to have significant expertise in a specific field, and you are pitching the university on, hey, I'm working on stuff in this specific field, and I believe that I could contribute to the academic life of Harvard by doing blah, 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 right? And Epstein was not qualified for this at all, obviously, but got in on a recommendation from the then chair of the psychology department, who was a man named Stephen Kosslyn. Now, Kosslyn is named in the files. In fact, he's in over 2,000 of the emails.
More than Elon Musk.
And he signed the birthday book.
Come on, dude. So this guy is a real freak. He... I can't say too much about him, but he probably knew a little bit about Epstein's game.
I mean, let me tell you something, right?
You have to if you signed the birthday book. Absolutely.
Yeah, I found a chain in the files, an email chain from 2010, where Epstein is emailing him asking for, and I'm quoting here, and I'm going to read it verbatim.
Oh, God.
A nan-me of a child psychologist in New Yorker, OCD behavior, young girl, 15.
Yep. Okay. This dude definitely knew. Yeah.
How could he?
How could he?
It's speculation. Yes. Right. We can't prove it. But come on.
But what? Yeah. What is he talking about here? Other than that. Oh my God.
So Kosslyn again got him in on that visiting fellowship. So he was a key facilitator for Epstein there. The other guy is the guy who Epstein basically gave the $6.5 million to directly, but had to create the entire Program for Evolutionary Dynamics as a frame for it, right? There's a guy named Martin Nowak. Now, Nowak, it should be noted, also then furnished Epstein with a personal office at that facility.
Holy shit, dude. This is fucking crazy. Epstein really bought his way into this field, this university, to this crowd. I think it should be very obvious that Epstein, of course, didn't have a degree, wasn't like actually intelligent in this way, but he really valued getting into these spaces. He really valued as being seen by these academics.
Yeah, the access for him was so important, and he just had to find the people who were willing to do it. And these people had desires of their own. You know, a lot of it was for, I think, the money. But again, if you read some of these emails and read between the lines, I think it's safe to say that there was other stuff going on here as well.
For sure.
Now, Nowak, his primary field of research is basically translating concepts of evolutionary biology into mathematical equations, like I said, which is pretty much what the PED's whole thing is. You also had earlier, June, mentioned that article from New York Magazine in 2002, the glowing, bizarre profile of Jeffrey Epstein.
Profile, like especially looking back. Oh,
the one with that famous Trump quote where he's like, Jeffrey Epstein, he loves his women, beautiful women, almost as much as me.
Side.
And some of them are on the younger side.
Oh, God.
So, June, why don't you go ahead and just read this excerpt from that article talking about Nowak specifically?
Epstein has a particularly close relationship with Martin Nowak, an Austrian biology and mathematics professor who heads the theoretical biology program at the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton. Nowak is examining how game theory can be used to answer some of the basic evolutionary questions. For example, why in our Darwinian society does altruistic behavior exist? Epstein talks to Nowak about once a week and flies him around the country to his various homes to deliver impromptu lectures. Over the past 3 years, he has written $500,000 worth of checks to fund Nowak's research. This past February, which is in 2002, Epstein had Nowak over for dinner at the 71st Street townhouse. It was just the two of them, not including the waitstaff, and Nowak, making use of a blackboard in the formal dining room, delivered a 2-hour highly mathematical description of how language works.
I'm sure Epstein didn't understand a fucking word of that, too.
Oh,
is the
definitely
thing. It's
not.
like, and maybe this didn't even happen. I feel like this is just, they're just blowing smoke up this writer's ass, right? Like, what are you talking about? What fuck are you talking about?
What equation? What description? What is it about? Can you tell us? Like,
what is a highly mathematical description of how language works? What did bro mean by this?
No, I mean, this is what I'm realizing is like tech finance type people have just been lying about what they do all the time for decades now.
Yes.
After dinner, Epstein asked if Nowak wanted to meet up with his new friend, President Clinton, and off they went to a nearby deli, where Clinton regaled the starstruck former Oxford professor with tales from his own Oxford days. Jeffrey has the mind of a physicist. It's like talking to a colleague in your field, says Nowak. Sometimes he applies what we talk about to his investments. Sometimes it's for his own curiosity. He has changed my life. Because of his support, I feel I can do anything I want. Oh, God.
Yeah, I feel I can do anything I want that's quite dark.
I bet when you enter the highest rung of the pedophile cabal that rules the world, you probably do feel like you're invincible.
I would imagine
That's probably how it does feel.
And you know, you might be wondering, well, Jeff had these amazing ideas, you know, this brilliant mind. What were some of the ideas he was coming up with?
Yeah,
and
wait,
so
do we get to learn about the mathematical description of how language works?
Well, I dug up a back and forth between Jeffrey and this guy, Martin. This is from February 13, 2010. And this is Jeff's brilliant idea. Again, this is circa 2010. So, like, again, this is 8 years later. So maybe this is continuing on a previous brilliant idea. But here we go.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Commercial evolution, increased complexity, combinations of little shops, cuz compete, business merge, tons of recent data. You will get monstrous support from bus community.
What is bro talking about? What is he talking about? What does that mean?
I mean, Martin loved it. He loved it so much that he sent Jeffrey Epstein 3 separate emails over the course of the preceding 10 minutes.
What did he see that I can't see here? Why
don't you read it and find out, June? Go ahead and start with this first one, 12:56 p.m.
So, okay. Okay. I love it. A biological approach to economy. The motto is what you said some time ago. The financial system is alive. I think money runs like energy through the veins of this superorganism. The Program for Commercial Evolution, PCE, or the Program for the Evolution of Commerce, PEC. You are a genius!
4 minutes later, 1 p.m., back at it again.
Program for Commercial Evolution, PCE, also suggests that one can now buy and sell evolution. A great idea. Because this is what we do. We sell evolutionary ideas to people.
3 minutes later, back at it again, 1:03 p.m.
It defines us actually better. What does that mean? It is the beginning of a new era, and I can write a new book, Commercial Evolution. A genius hits a target no one else can see. What is any of this conversation?
What is going on here?
What is I know I've probably just reading through all of Jeffrey's emails, it's like the way he talks and types in these emails is very odd to me, because there is always a typo. There is always super condensed words. There's like no descriptors of what he's ever talking about or what he means in any of these emails. I don't understand how that statement that you read up top could invoke within 10 minutes across 3 emails such a reaction. Because like, what does that mean?
And really the way that I see it is there's 2 possibilities of what's going on here. And
yeah.
The truth is probably somewhere in the middle of these, or maybe it's both, I think, where either this guy and people like this guy, Martin, have become so inured to Jeffrey Epstein's bullshit over an extended period of time that they just sort of like start to read their own interpretations into what it is that he's saying. Mm-hmm. Or they're so committed to blowing smoke up his ass so that they can continue to have access to his various resources, financial and otherwise, that they, will say shit like this. They try to sort of be as effusive as possible in the attempts of appealing, I guess, to his ego.
We definitely see, I think it's a little both, because we've seen this sort of thing play out with people like Elon Musk, of course. Mm-hmm. Whenever he says anything, people will just like suck him off. They'll say, genius, great idea, sir. Yes, sir. That's a wonderful gambit. To absolutely anything. So I do think it is a little bit of just like the continuous need for access.
Yeah. So at this point, between the newly endowed and newly established Program for Evolutionary Dynamics, as well as the Visiting Fellowship, Epstein can basically just walk around Harvard and do whatever he wants, right? But in 2006, right after he gets his Visiting Fellowship renewed, well, Jeffrey Epstein gets indicted. That is when the grand jury brings their first charge on solicitation, right? And Epstein is then arrested on July 23 of 2006. This, again, is later going to lead to that 2008 conviction, thanks to the whole plea bargain and everything else. But now Epstein is, well, he's a lot more toxic than he was, because he just got indicted in Florida
for sex crimes,
soliciting a child for prostitution. That's not great. And around the same time, Drew Faust becomes president at Harvard. This is the year 2007. And at that time, she declares Harvard's not going to take any more of Jeffrey Epstein's money. But here's the thing. Nor did she give any of the already donated money back. They kept the money.
Okay.
And that Program for Evolutionary Development, the PED, well, they allowed him to keep showing up at their offices. And Jesus he did.
Christ.
Between 2010 and 2018, once he was back out of jail again, he visited the center more than 40 times.
See, this is the fucking thing that drives me crazy, right? And I feel like this is driving everyone fucking insane learning about any sort of thing that Epstein has ever done, is that he was convicted.
Yes.
Already. And everyone was just like, well, what are we going to do? Deny his money, deny his access, deny his parties. Like, what do you mean?
Well, right. But also, to the point of like connections and how they work, it's not as if every single person who is named in the Epstein files is guilty of something.
Right.
In a lot of cases, it was just the fact that Epstein was just trying his best to contact a whole bunch of different people for a whole bunch of different reasons, many of whom never fucking replied to him, right? But when you're talking about something like this, it's a different matter entirely. If I am running a research institute at a major university, I don't care if my fucking benefactor has given me millions of dollars. If he has been convicted of sex crimes against minors, I'm not going to let him show up at my institute. But you know what? Not only did they allow him to continue to show up, every time he came by, that Nowak would furnish Epstein with young women to be his assistants. They would just escort him around. And Moreover, their website, the PED website, featured Epstein on it as recently as 2014.
Jesus Christ.
That was 6 years after the conviction. And on top of that, Epstein was later to secure even more donations to PED through Leon Black, who, again, was one of his clients, another guy who's named in the birthday book. So even though it wasn't a direct donation from Epstein, it was still Epstein money, essentially.
I just don't think I'll ever understand. And maybe like people like us never will, because we're not in this like wealthy class of with all this access to the highest rungs of power, to Clinton, to Donald Trump. So like I don't know, maybe it is just incomprehensible. But how can it be this good that you willingly parade around in public, in front and center, a pedophile like this? Unless the only explanation is the access is that good, or you're just also a pedophile, right? Like it's literally only those two things. And either if those are the two things, I'm sorry, we gotta kill you. Sorry.
And you know, there's some other stuff in the files that makes me question the nature of Nowak's relationship with Epstein. Nowak, I should note, is named in 3,939 documents in the files. And
so he's up there. He's way up there.
He's up there. He's visible in photographs taken on Little St. James Island. The files indicate that they were in regular communication until at least 2018.
So it's not exaggerating to say that Nowak was likely one of Epstein's closest associates.
Certainly in this academic world, yes. And I should note as well, I found some emails indicating failed attempts to coordinate a visit by Nowak to Epstein's ranch in New Mexico, both in 2012 and 2014, as well as an apparent confirmed visit in 2013, which Epstein actually offered to pay for. These two were close. And I found some weird emails. On Wednesday, January 15, 2014, Martin Nowak wrote,
I get it. A Polish beauty.
On Wednesday, January 15, 2014 at 9:21 a.m., Jeffrey Epstein wrote, smart boy. On Wednesday, January 15, 2014 at 12:01 p.m., Martin wrote,
I just tried. I will try again.
And on Wednesday, January 15 at 4:03 p.m., Jeffrey Epstein wrote, I don't know, it's redacted.
Oh. That's concerning. It's crazy that so much is redacted, because from what we've seen that's unredacted in the files so far, it's some of the most horrifying shit of all time. I can't imagine the shit that we're not even able to see currently, or maybe ever. I just cannot fucking imagine.
We've got another exchange here from March 2014. This is right after Martin Nowak visited Little St. James Island, and we know that because there are agendas and itineraries in the files. On Monday, March 10 at 7:07 a.m., Martin Nowak wrote,
our spy was captured after completing her mission.
On Monday, March 10, 2014 at 2:34 p.m., Jeffrey Epstein wrote, did you torture her?
Oh, God. Jesus fucking Christ.
And last but not least, we've got an exchange from July 2014. On Sunday, August 3, 2014 at 3:48 p.m., Martin Nowak wrote,
my Korean friend.
And there is a photo. The face is redacted on this photo, but it looks like it says the Juniper session.
It does.
on the thing behind her.
I swear that's not me. That's not me. I swear.
Oh, you're not Korean for one thing.
No, I've never been to Korea.
And then Jeffrey Epstein replies to that email saying, "Great. What does any of this mean? Fuck if I know, but it doesn't look good."
What looks bad is that this person at this evolutionary dynamics department who was endowed a lot of money from Epstein was very close. This is like the top of the academic world at Harvard, at least in particular. But, you know, Harvard has connections beyond just Epstein. Harvard, Yale, Stanford, all these different places are about access more than education, I feel like.
And all we can really do here is speculate, right? Maybe Martin was just sending a photo of his Korean friend to Jeffrey Epstein, and it was totally innocent. Maybe.
You know what? I think we can speculate a little bit further. I think there's some bad intentions here.
It seems bad. And knowing everything we now know about Epstein's MO, it's downright worrisome. So Harvard opened a full investigation into its connections to Epstein after he died. And in 2021, they announced that they would be shutting down PED.
Oh, wow.
As part of this announcement, they also said that Nowak would be barred from starting any new research or advising students for at least 2 years.
Only.
However, he kept his position. And then, in 2023, the Harvard Crimson, their student newspaper, reported that he was fully reinstated.
What the absolute fuck, dude? Is he still there?
He's still there.
No,
he's still there.
Come on.
He's got a professorship in
How?
math and biology. You can go to his website right now at harvard.edu.
How?
He's still got his position.
How?
Full tenure.
How is Martin Nowak allowed to be in society? How is he allowed? How is this allowed? Oh my fucking God, dude. I mean, of all people that I'm fairly certain, again, speculation, sure, but I feel like I'm fairly certain to say that Martin Nowak is a pedophile. If he's not himself directly one, he is aware of a ring of like pedophilia and is okay with it. That is the absolute best case scenario for him.
It absolutely beggars credulity to be like, oh, he probably didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And again, just those emails alone, to me personally, they're too weird. They're simply too weird for me to not think that there was something going on here.
And that's just 3 of the 3,939.
Right. And those are
like
only the ones
sample.
that were admitted into evidence. I mean, you know, there's so much more out there. And this raises a question. Why did Epstein fund the program for evolutionary dynamics? And the way I see it, there are sort of 3 big possibilities. I think that the truth, as with what we were talking about before, is probably a combination of these things. First possibility, access to young women. Mm-hmm. And there are emails in the files from 2009 that indicate a $10,000 wire transfer to, and I'm quoting here from the email, the girl from Romania, as well as a separate $5,000 wire, which was facilitated between Nowak's grad assistant, a woman named Corina Tarnita, as well as Epstein's accountant, Rich Kahn. And I should note here, for her part, Tarnita claims that these were anonymous donations to early career mathematicians that she had vetted based purely on academic promise. She also said she wishes she had never met him. And a Princeton spokesperson did corroborate this account to Nature, Nature, the publication. So
I can believe that. Yeah.
But knowing what we know about Epstein and his MO, just because this is what this transaction was, doesn't necessarily mean that it stopped there.
For sure.
I should also say another reason that he might want to fund the program is, of course, access to academics. He had his office at Harvard, right? That gave him more credibility. That allowed him to hold these sessions, these salons. That gave him access to motherfuckers like Steven Pinker, Larry Summers, Alan Dershowitz, who would end up defending him in court and was one of the key people who helped negotiate that absolutely sweet plea bargain.
You know, insofar as Dershowitz, it's crazy to me that did you see like a half a year ago now, he was complaining about how someone didn't want to serve him while he was out at Martha's Vineyard.
Oh yeah, he's always doing that shit.
Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. It's like, you're like the close lawyer friend of the world's most well-known pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry,
also,
you can't complain. You can't complain. You know exactly what was going on the whole time.
And I should say, too, I mean, I think that there are probably people who were associated with Jeffrey Epstein who were taking advantage of his product, but did not have a predilection specifically for the underage. Mm-hmm. Alan Dershowitz is a pedophile. That's something I'm very, very confident in saying.
No speculation
if
needed
only
there.
Because of how much he's written about the age of consent. No normal person writes that much about the age of consent. I'm sorry.
He has a lot of problems with age of consent. It's not just like academic. He's like, well, it should be lower.
Yeah.
Also, I love for a time like in 2023 or something like that, if you called Alan Dershowitz, I never had his number, but I know a couple of people who did. If you would just like FaceTime him, he would just answer.
He'd pick up.
He would
That's
just
so
pick up. You
fucking
could just like
lawyer,
talk
Brian.
to him.
I love that.
Yeah. Also, I just gotta say, I'm very proud of being blocked by Steven Pinker on social media.
Good for you.
For pointing out that he was connected to Epstein.
Pinker's so funny too, because whenever anybody points out his extensive background with Epstein, he always does this thing where he's like, well, he was actually a real dumbass. He wasn't really very smart at all. He was actually a dilettante. I was not impressed by him.
I would just always go to his events all the time.
Shut the fuck up, dude. What are you talking about? Anyway, access to academics, right? That's again the second point. The third point, And the point that I think is going to pivot us into the rest of this episode, and the piece that is most specifically connected to natalism, is access to potential breakthroughs in genetic technology that might contribute either to his own well-being or what we now know existed, or at least was planned to exist, his own personal breeding program. And this was to be headquartered at his ranch. So let's talk about the ranch, shall we?
Yeah, before we get into that, I just want to say how eerie, like, learning all this stuff about Epstein it is, where it's like he's sort of genuinely, and I don't even mean this in a joking way, he was sort of a trailblazer for a lot of the mindset of like the modern finance tech world, the like tech right. The way they think about like genetics and breeding and like natalism in this way that these people do. Like it's very eerie how similar his ideology seems to align with some of these people.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's hard to know, right? Were these original ideas, or was this just him being suffused in this world and sort of marinating it and just spitting back out everything that he was already hearing, you know?
I think it's the former, frankly, just because we've seen him being connected. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it today, but he was sort of crucial in the formation of Poll on 4chan with Steve Bannon. He was crucial to a lot of really pivotal points, Gamergate, all of these different things and moments and ideologies that we see still to this day. Sort of, we see the downstream effect of that. So I do think I think he is smart in the way that he was able to leverage himself and other people to create the world that we live in right now.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that he was trying to do was, well, to quote an article here from the New York Times, July 31, 2019. This was published pretty soon after he died. Jeffrey Epstein hoped to seed human race with his DNA.
Jesus Christ,
this is James B. Stewart, Matthew Goldstein, and Jessica Silver Greenberg writing the New York Times.
On multiple occasions, starting in the early 2000s, Mr. Epstein told scientists and businessmen about his ambitions to use his New Mexico ranch as a base where women would be inseminated with his sperm and would give birth to his babies, according to 2 award-winning scientists and an advisor to large companies and wealthy individuals, all of whom Mr. Epstein told about it. It was not a secret. The advisor, for example, said he was told about the plans not only by Mr. Epstein at a gathering at his Manhattan townhouse, but also by at least one prominent member of the business community. One of the scientists said Mr. Epstein divulged his idea in 2001 at a dinner at the same townhouse. The other recalled Mr. Epstein discussing it with him at a 2006 conference that he hosted in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands.
It's so funny to me, all these motherfuckers being willing to go on background to talk about this shit now.
I know, yeah.
Now, like, I'm not now, but like now in 2019, after he's already dead, because of course they are.
Yeah.
At this point, you know, anything that they could potentially be implicated in, it's not going to come out anymore because Donald Trump killed him.
That is the baffling thing, though, is so many people explicitly knew about his weird beliefs and ideology and things he wanted to do. Why did no one ever seed that anywhere? No pun intended. Why didn't anyone like shop that around somewhere for just be like, this guy's kind of a fucking freak.
Right.
There was a lot of glowing profiles about Jeffrey Epstein or people talking about how much they loved him, but there was not a lot of people talking about how fucking weird he was. So
the article goes on, and I'll read this next chunk here. Once, at a dinner at Mr. Epstein's mansion on Manhattan's Upper East Side, Mr. Lanier, and this is a guy who was quoted earlier in the article, said he talked to a scientist who told him that Mr. Epstein's goal was to have 20 women at a time impregnated at his 33,000 square foot Zorro Ranch in a tiny town outside Santa Fe. Mr. Lanier said the scientist identified herself as working for NASA, but he did not remember her name. According to Mr. Lanier, the NASA scientist said Mr. Epstein had based his idea for a baby ranch on accounts of the repository for germinal choice, which was to be stocked with the sperm of Nobel laureates who wanted to strengthen the human gene pool.
Oh, God.
Only one Nobel Prize winner has acknowledged contributing sperm to it, and the repository discontinued operations in 1999. Mr. Lanier, the virtual reality creator and author.
What does that mean?
This guy says he created virtual reality. That's his claim to fame.
Okay.
He said he had the impression that Mr. Epstein was using the dinner parties, where some guests were attractive women with impressive academic credentials, to screen candidates to bear Mr. Epstein's children.
Dear Lord. Yeah, this dude is absolutely eugenicist insofar as like strengthening the gene pool. And also just like the fact that he is so much like Elon Musk in this way where he's like, I just want 1 million children. He wanted 20 women pregnant at a time in his ranch. At a time. That's a minimum of 20 births, or I guess that would be closer to like 30 births a year of his like offspring. That is that's fucking crazy. He views women as cattle. Women are cattle to him.
There's that, and then there's also the flip side to it, which is funny to me as well. Now, maybe funny is the wrong word, but whatever. That's kind of how I feel about all this, is I laugh because otherwise it's so horrifying, right?
Yeah.
Just the idea that like his DNA is the DNA that's going to make the world a better place.
Yeah, I don't think he's proven that at all.
No, Mr. I'm going to read this again one more time. Again, just his brilliant ideas. Commercial evolution, increased complexity, combinations of little shops cause compete, business merge, tons of recent data. You will get monstrous support from bus community.
The bus community. What is that? What is even the bus community? I think he's using
bus as an abbreviation for business.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'm the dumb one here. Maybe I'm the dumb one here.
Maybe I like to take the bus is the thing. I consider myself a member of the bus community.
I love public transit.
Absolutely.
I feel very patriotic when I am on a train.
So let's talk here about Zorro Ranch in a bit more detail, because this is something that I think people know a bit about, but I feel like the ranch never got the same amount of attention as Little St. James Island or the Manhattan Townhouse.
I think it's not been investigated to the same degree, if I understand correctly.
That's true.
I think New Mexico is just now opening an investigation into the ranch, like this week, as of recording.
It was announced like yesterday that they would be doing this. Yeah, there
was just not much known about it, but it's one of those things that I only within the last year personally have even heard of, that this is a thing that he owns or had owned.
Right. So the ranch is a massive plot of land. Well, I guess it's not that big as far as ranches go, because ranches can be unbelievably big, but it's very big. The Zorro Ranch is located in Stanley, New Mexico, which is out in the desert. It's basically east of Albuquerque and south of Santa Fe, pretty much equidistant to both as the crow flies. And Epstein bought it from then governor of New Mexico, Bruce King, in 1993.
Oh my God. Okay.
There are credible accusations of Epstein committing sexual assaults there all the way back to like 1995.
Oh my God. Okay. So he was doing this for even longer than I realized. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So he originally set up there because he wanted to be closer to Los Alamos. You know the Los Alamos Laboratory? Are you familiar with it at all?
Not really, no.
Okay, it's one of the U.S. government's like bleeding edge research centers. It's run by the U.S. Department of Energy. It was instrumental in the Manhattan Project.
Oh, sure. Okay, I am like vaguely familiar. Shout out Oppenheimer, if it's the same one in the movie Oppenheimer.
Yep. And also the Santa Fe Institute was another thing that Epstein wanted to be closer to. It's a multidisciplinary research lab, and it studies complex systems and, wouldn't you believe it, evolutionary theory.
He has a huge interest in evolutionary theory. Oh my fucking God. Okay.
And he loved it so much that he donated to it. The Epstein files show receipts for donations totaling at least $680,000 to the Santa Fe Institute.
It's not too much, to be honest.
No, it's not that much, but it's, again, the way that he operated was that he wasn't really donating to the Institute. He was donating to a guy. And in this case, it was a man named Murray Gell-Mann, who was one of the co-founders of the Institute. And Gell-Mann is also in the birthday book.
Oh my fucking God. Another close friend of his.
Now, the files, there's some pretty dark shit in there about the ranch. There is at least one claim that there are bodies buried there that, like...
I believe this.
There were women who died on the ranch, and there are bodies somewhere on the plot buried.
I do believe that. I think especially now that the ranch is going to be investigated, we're going to find a lot more fucking grim, awful stuff when they start taking a look there.
I should also note that Virginia Giuffre, the late Virginia Giuffre, who of course was one of the early accusers of Epstein and killed herself, a year or two ago? I want to say
very recently, sadly. Yeah.
she claimed that she was trafficked while she was on the ranch to New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson.
Oh my fucking God.
Different New Mexico governor, but Democrat Bill Richardson.
Goddamn, dude.
I should also note that the files contain what appears to be a really bizarre journal from a teenager who, according to the account in the journal, is being held as, in her words, a human incubator for Epstein in Palm Beach.
Oh.
And entries in the journal describe giving birth to a baby who is immediately taken away from her. And she also expresses fear that she is going to be taken to New Mexico.
Dear God. So he likely started this experiment of trying to impregnate his victims and keep them there.
If this journal entry is true, what happened to this young woman in Palm Beach was probably, a pilot for this breeding program on the ranch in New Mexico.
Holy shit, dude. This is an aside, but obviously it's unknowable, sadly, if Epstein has children with any of the victims or any of this. But did he ever have a child with, I don't think he ever had a child with Ghislaine Maxwell or anyone else
that we know of.
For sure, yeah.
Not that we know of. There are a couple entries in the files that indicate somebody congratulating Epstein on the birth of a child.
So he probably does have some out there, especially, I mean, he had a very keen interest in this like breeding program of his. So it's very, very sadly, very likely.
It feels
true.
It feels true. It does.
To quote the human pet guy, it feels true.
Now, again, we will probably be learning more about what happened here, at least from surveys and maybe even eventually digs, because the New Mexico state government just appointed a truth commission with a $2 million budget, which that's enough money to fund some research for a little while. They intend to investigate what happened at the ranch, and the ranch itself is now owned by a Texan named Don Huffins, and he actually intends to convert the ranch to a Christian retreat.
I can't say I'm relieved to hear that.
No.
I'm really not.
I mean, he has pledged full cooperation. We'll see what happens, but that's the state of the ranch.
All right.
Anyway, there was some dark shit happening on that ranch, and unfortunately at this time, we simply don't have enough information to do much more than speculate. It's horrifying. I don't really have any other words for it.
I think it's just like, I feel like throughout a lot of this season, we have sort of stumbled upon many instances of a lot of these tech leaders and thought leaders, which they want to view themselves as. Like Epstein, he very much thought of himself as like a philosopher of some kind.
A philosopher king, I would argue.
Yeah.
Because he would hold court, right?
He would, yeah.
And because he had so much money that he could use to fund these scientists, we would see many examples, as with that weird email from Nowak being like, this is fucking great, right?
Yeah.
Where they're just being so fucking obsequious.
But like also so much of the like obsession with lineage.
Yes.
To not just like a normal way of like, oh, I want a kid or two, like the average American or the average person generally wants. It's like I need a Genghis Khan moment. I need to have 1,000 offspring eventually. Like I need to have like 1,000 people with my last name stemming directly from me in 100 years. Like that early, I forget exactly what this was. We recorded about this like half a year ago now, but with that religious, the quiverful, maybe it was that quiverful diagram of like, if you have 8 kids and then they have 8 kids and then they have 8 kids, like that's sort of what he clearly wanted. And we've seen that with like a lot of these different tech people.
Unfortunately and infuriatingly, in some cases, we will never know what they knew because those people are gone now. Murray Gell-Mann died in 2019. He was 89 years old. And there are all of these people who were involved at various points throughout Jeffrey Epstein's story who can no longer speak because they are no longer with us.
Right.
And because the government immediately closed all open investigations into Jeffrey Epstein the moment he died.
Donald Trump, interestingly, did that.
Huh. Weird.
It's really weird. One of his best friends, as we know. Yeah.
Why would he do that?
Yeah, truly, why? But no, I think that's just one of the most shocking things is just that it's like, not only are these weird tech people, this tech finance natalist right, all connected, but they all have a through line with Jeffrey Epstein at some point.
And what did they know? What did they know? When did they know it? I should also note, by the way, this is not about the ranch itself specifically, but like, there are other examples that exist in the files of Epstein trying to sort of pursue this weird genetic perfection thing. I found some emails with a guy named Brian Bishop. This guy's a weird nerd, a Bitcoin early adopter, and for years, he's been trying to use gene editing to make perfect babies. Now,
Jesus Christ.
Gene editing, CRISPR, that's worth a whole other topic of conversation, and we might actually do that for the B-side because there's plenty to talk about there. But basically in 2018, the files show that he pitched Epstein on investing in his venture, his like designer baby venture, which would try to engineer these super sperm that would then be implanted into women via IVF, of course.
These freaks have been trying to invent the best baby for over a decade now.
They really want to have their best baby. And it's unclear if Bishop ever received funding. It's also possible that like Epstein died before he would have had the opportunity to fund him or... went to jail again before that. Yeah. But yeah. So now we've covered a little bit, at least, of Epstein's ties to academia, specifically through Harvard. And we've also talked a bit about his own personal desires to have his best baby, to have maybe hundreds of best babies eventually, right?
Yeah, all in his ranch.
But of course, to do these things, it requires commitment of material resources. And technologists, generally speaking, are the ones who would be providing these opportunities. People like Brian Bishop, for instance, or others. Because after Epstein got out of jail the first time around, he started shifting his focus more specifically to genetics and being like, this is the thing that I'm doing. This is the thing that I'm investing in. This is how my business is going to make money. This is how my business actively is making money. How are we making money? Don't ask. It's just happening. I promise. This is real.
Yeah.
And I've got a quote here. This is from an October 3, 2019 article from the New York Times by Matthew Goldstein and Steve Eder.
Jeffrey Epstein's biggest client had deserted him. His money management firm had lost more than $150 million during the financial crisis, and he was a registered sex offender. But after he started a new company with a wildly speculative business plan in 2012, Mr. Epstein had no problem pulling in cash. Despite a name that calls to mind a financial services firm, the fledgling company with a handful of employees said it was developing a DNA data mining service. Southern Trust was trying to gauge customers' predisposition to cancer by basically organizing mathematical algorithms. Mr. Epstein told Virgin Islands officials as he sought a lucrative tax break in 2012.
So this jumped right out at me, given the stuff that we've been talking about with genetic optimization and the stuff we were talking about with these IVF companies and the way that they claim to be able to, detect within a certain confidence interval how likely your baby is to develop a certain disease or whatever. This feels like a precursor to that shit. This is what he was saying that he would be able to do.
Absolutely. I mean, he was on the front lines of this very clearly. I mean, I think with his interest in evolutionary biology and like theory and putting mathematical equations to explain language, I do think if he had the opportunity, he would have spliced his own genes to make himself perfect too. I mean, he clearly wants that sort of eugenics. He has that sort of eugenics mindset for children. Why wouldn't he have that for everyone?
For himself.
Yeah, for himself.
Now, I should say, for him specifically to be running this company, that's bullshit. There's no fucking way. And common sense dictates that this was a front. Obviously, this is not real. The numbers don't add up. And the U.S. Virgin Islands did not care at all.
Of course. Oh, my fucking God.
In 2017, Southern Trust reported net income of $40 million. And then this was on top of 135 million they already had on hand at the beginning of the year.
Oh my God.
Totaling by the end of the financial year, $175 million in retained earnings.
From what? From what? From what, dude?
That's a great question. I should also say here, Business Insider did a Freedom of Information request and was able to acquire a transcript of his 2012 testimony to the U.S. Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority. This shit is so fucking funny.
Wait, this is Epstein. This is from Epstein.
This is God. Epstein himself pitching his fake company to the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands to be you should let me set up shop and give me a great tax break, and here's why.
It's crazy how easy it is to do tax fraud, dude. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You got this? You want to read this?
Yeah. I've been Epstein so far. I might as well keep it going.
I don't know if you want to say that. I don't think that's something you want.
No, I'm going to say it. I am Jeffrey Epstein.
You are not in Israel playing Fortnite. You are, no.
I'm in Brooklyn recording a podcast.
This is crazy. Okay.
As you are all aware, everything nowadays has become personalized. You have your clothes that you wear can be custom made. Everyone has many options on how to set up their computers. What's happening?
Bro was on Newegg.
That's so true. What's happening in the world is that many decisions that used to be made by one single individual, now it's impossible to get accurate information without accessing vast numbers of databases. What Southern Trust will do will be basically organizing mathematical algorithms so that if I want to know what my predisposition is for cancer, we can now have my genes specifically sequenced.
Oh my God.
And this takes us into his main pitch, right? Which I'm going to summarize here rather than subjecting you to his words. Basically, it's a magical search engine that can immediately take in all of your medical symptoms, cross-reference them with your DNA, and give you a 100% reliable diagnosis and treatment plan, all while recommending the best investment opportunities for your dollar at the same time.
Wait, like investment into like the stock market?
Yeah.
What? Why? Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that's just what it's going to do.
This is crazy, dude.
Those are the things that it's going to do for you.
It's the everything out.
Yeah. My summary, what I just said right now, is so much more coherent than what he says.
Yeah. Also, just the fact that, like, even today with these companies that he sort of pitched the precursor of, they're still not even 100% reliable.
No.
They're nowhere close to that. They're just sort of a 10% range. Could never be. I think the thing that's been frustrating me reading reading from a lot of people that are like on the far right with eugenics and genetics, all of this is their beliefs seem to be hinged upon the fact that your birth predetermines your entire life. Yeah. There is no environmental factors
they're determinists
after you're born. Exactly. And I just, it drives me crazy. And I think that's been one of the things that's been hard for me when is sort of reading some of this and getting into a couple arguments specifically on Twitter with some of these people is
why did you do that? Why did you get in fights? That's not going to be good for anybody.
Self-harm. I love self-harm. But like just the fact that it's like, oh, they just have a completely different conception of what it is to be alive with how the world functions. That's sort of how these people think.
In the testimony, by the way, I read the whole thing, and he alludes to intending to hire at this company, the Southern Trust, a Harvard professor who, and this is a quote from him, used to be at the Institute of Advanced Studies at Princeton. So this is clearly referring to Nowak.
No way.
It is unclear if he ever actually was hired or not, but this potentially could have been another way to kick Nowak even more money. This was in 2012, so this would have been after Harvard had said, hey, you can't give us money directly anymore. So that's just kind of interesting.
God, that is an interesting coincidence. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Yeah. I
mean, is it coincidence or is it a plan? I genuinely don't know. Again, it would be really great if they were to get this Nowak guy under oath in front of the Senate Like,
yeah, how has no one talked to him like in any of this current investigation?
Me.
I'll be honest, this episode talking about this, reading about this guy from what you've sent me to research, I've never heard of this guy before. Nowak is not a guy that was on probably most people's radar, but he seems to be very intimate with Epstein and his world. He was very close. Epstein tried to set him up multiple times with a lot of money. This was, again, you're right, probably another instance of him trying to funnel him money around the knowledge of Harvard.
Yeah, Nowak alongside Stephen Kosslyn and, of course, Larry Summers himself.
Yeah.
All of these people served in different capacities as fixers for Epstein at Harvard.
Going back a second, how is Nowak still teaching? This is crazy to me. Do you remember earlier when in this episode we were talking about that email exchange that said, our spy has been captured after completing her mission, and then he said, did you torture her? I found Martin Nowak he posted a statement on social media about this email. Do you want me to read it?
Please do.
So this is Martin Nowak's statement from about 10-ish days ago as of recording. On social media, there is confusion over an email exchange that was released with the Epstein files. I wrote, our spy has been captured after completing her mission. He replied, did you torture her? Some have missed that our spy was captured after completing her mission is a line from a computer game called Civilization 2.
Yeah,
a game I played. Did you see this? I call bullshit personally.
That's bullshit. I mean, yes, it is. It is, absolutely. I've played Civ 2.
Yeah. But we know these people talk in code. I mean, we have so many emails and examples of them, clearly.
Are you telling me you and Jeff were hopping on a LAN party to play Civ 2 Gold multiplayer? Get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Yeah, no, so he's basically just sort of, he's sort of being like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know.
Put him on the stand and ask him again, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Get him under oath.
This isn't good enough. The social media statement's not good enough. I just thought that was interesting that he actually did publicly acknowledge the Epstein files and him being in them.
I want to ask him about his Korean friend. What was that all about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Martin.
Yeah.
That was just my friend. She's Korean.
And I had to send my pedophile friend a picture.
My best friend, Jeffrey, noted pedophile and human trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
Literally convicted after he sent that, or before he sent that email.
Stupid. How fucking dumb does he think we are?
Yeah, I don't know. All these people.
There's one other quote from the testimony that I found really, really interesting. And I'm going to read that to you as well. This again is Jeffrey Epstein speaking in front of the powers that be of the U.S. Virgin Islands, pitching his imaginary application. So as of medical advance, you are able to, God damn it. That is actual words that he put together, folks. So as of medical advance, you are able for the first time to have custom made medicine, but you can't do that without accessing a vast database of information. Even if you are the best doctor in New York or California or here, you can only read what you can read. You have 24 hours a day. The new sequences in biomedicine will allow you to access every publication that affects your area, and you don't have time to read it. So, my company's algorithms will, in fact, digest the information as best as they can currently, and then spit out its recommendations. So, you'll have computer-generated solutions for medical problems, which is the next century's work on how to get people healthy.
This is crazy. Now, he's sort of pitching what people have tried to do with AI.
He's describing large language models, right?
He is.
That's what's
crazy.
Really fascinating to me, right? It's because
this was 14 years ago. He said
this was well before. Because what was the first Transformer again? It was
like the movie Transformers.
yes. Optimus Prime. When did that guy come out? No, like text transformers. When was the first dynamic text transformer?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, so there was the paper, Attention is All You Need, and that was the paper that proposed the idea of a text transformer. That was published in 2017. So this is 5 years before Google sort of presented to the world the idea of a text transformer for a large language model.
I mean, I guess I'm not super surprised by this, right? Because Epstein leveraged who he was in a lot of the tech worlds, of course, a lot of these ideas were not just like, they didn't just come out of nowhere. He probably heard a lot of this from people who have now sort of led the way with what we know of as like large language models at this point, LLMs. Like he definitely has like, again, as I think we were talking about before, he is sort of like melded in his mind lots of different ideas and sort of was using them in his own way.
Exactly. And like, the idea that like it's going to do this and it's going to give you stock tips doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's how his brain works, right?
Yeah.
And I should note that he was indeed in communication with some AI people throughout his time trying to be kind of like a cool academic tech whatever guy. Mm-hmm. So I want to give shout outs here specifically to Nafiz Ahmed at a publication called Byline Times, who did some of this research.
Oh, great article, by the way. Yeah.
This article outlines specifically 2 guys. Well, I guess 2.5 guys. 2.5 men?
Yeah, Charlie Sheen.
That's right. The first guy is a guy named Joshua Bach. Joshua Bach? This is like Josh Borman, but wrong. Joschabach.
The evil version of you.
Bach. Joshua Bach.
This is evil you.
That's right. Another guy in Epstein's collections of guys who he liked to give money to. You know, remember how there was the MIT Media Lab and how they took Epstein money? That was because of this guy.
Oh my God. He was sort of the through line connection between all of this. Oh,
he was at the Media Lab at that time. Epstein was funding his research there. And Bach, a lot of his work was to do with projecting futures. Again, very common thing, right? And also connected to some of this AI, singularity, what is the future of the computer world type shit. And I should note that he had some very cool ideas. For instance, in the files, there are emails from Bach to Epstein positing that black people have naturally slower brains. That's just kind of how they are. And women are naturally less curious about like
it's in their genes.
It's in their genes.
It's in their genes.
They're just less curious at the end of the day, and they care more about socializing than being curious. You know,
when men.
That's right.
Man, they have real power. No, it's crazy how you get to a certain point, especially with these people at the top. It's always these people that are very well connected, highest wealth class, that get into crazy race and gender science. It's always the case.
Well, I don't even think this guy had that much money. I think he was just operating in the circles with where, like MIT, right, you're going to have a lot of wealthy benefactors. And so he was probably deep in the shit just on like 4chan poll or something, right? That's probably where he was cooking his brain.
A lot of always downstream of Jeffrey Epstein. All of it's downstream of Jeffrey fucking Epstein, dude.
I should also say another thing that he was promoting, fascism, straight up. Just being like, humanity's going to have so many problems in the future, which I know all about because of how smart I am. Fascism is the only way forward. That's the only way we can solve it.
These people are evil and also just incredibly insufferable.
Yes. Very, very irritating people. And another one of these very irritating people, a man named Nick Bostrom, futurist, transhumanist. He's one of the guys who is very much like, in order to get our species to be the best, we got to do the gene editing. We got to approach the singularity. He published a paper once upon a time that was mostly talking about the negative correlation in some places between intellectual achievement and fertility.
Oh my fucking God, dude. That's insane.
Birth rates.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just so fucking crazy that Jeffrey Epstein, if Jeffrey Epstein was still alive, he would be at fucking NatalCon, dude.
Yes, he would.
Let's just be honest here. He would have fucking been at NatalCon.
Would he have been at NatalCon? I feel like
he would have been there. He wouldn't have given a speech. He would have just been there.
I don't know. I think that if he was around, they actually would have nailed him and he would have had to do the rest of his life in prison. I don't think he would have been at NatalCon. I think, though, in a world in which he didn't get caught and nailed, you are 100% correct. He would have been at NatalCon.
For sure. He has such a keen interest in this type of science.
Yes.
I mean, from what I can tell, I mean, I haven't done a deep dive into the files. But this is sort of the only science he seems interested in, as far as I can tell. Yeah. I don't know if you have a bigger insight into that, since you sort of dug
Epstein?
a little bit. Yeah, and like his scientific interests. It seems to all sort of hinge around genetics and people that deal specifically with that, and mathematics. Yeah. And of course, that will always eventually end up with birth rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And race science.
And eugenics and race science. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bostrom, by the way, founded an organization called the World Transhumanist Association, which is now called Humanity Plus.
Humanity Plus. That's a fucking evil. That's a name of a company in a movie where they create the Dooms device that takes over like
the
it's
Dooms
like a robot.
The Dooms
it's like
device.
The Doom device.
The Dooms device from fucking Death Stranding. Is that what it is? It's assessing who has dooms and who can connect to the bridge things.
Absolutely. You know, it's like trying to eliminate humans. It's like we will transcend humanity, merge with the fucking robot or whatever. It's some bullshit like that. It just sounds, all of these people found evil company names.
Yes.
Palantir, Humanity Plus. He should have
called it Humanity 2. That would have been funny. But Epstein donated $120,000 to that organization. And speaking of Humanity Plus, by the way, remember how I said that there were 2.5 men here? This is the half that I mentioned. A guy named Ben Gertzel. Again, this is just quoting straight from the article, the Byline Times article, because I just think this is so funny. He's a top computer scientist who popularized the idea of artificial general intelligence, AGI, and now heads up SingularityNet, which is working to create an, quote, emergent multi-agent intelligence, end quote, network by letting different AIs work together on the blockchain.
Oh my God, dude. Come on. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Epstein had really, he really collected just the who's who of everything that's wrong with the world today.
Yes. And those sickos, they also had a regular salon, a regular summit that they would all go to. This was something called the Edge Foundation. And you can actually still go to their website. It's still up, www.edge.org. Joe Schabak, Nick Bostrom, and Martin Nowak were all members of this organization. Ben Gertzel has also been documented at least one of the meetings of the organization. Basically, what you need to know about Edge is that it was founded by a literary agent named John Brockman, who, by the way, is named in the files over 2,000 times. And Edge brought together a fucking murderer's row of evil tech capitalists for this big summit, this big meeting of the mind, the Edge Summit, or whatever the fuck they called it. And the format for this was basically they would ask, or John, I guess, would ask on the distribution list, an annual question. And everybody would come together to discuss that question. You might be wondering, well, these must have been some great questions, right?
Yeah, it's probably a great question. It's the world's wealthiest people, the smartest people, the minds that you bring together here. Yeah, what's the question? What's one of the questions?
Well, for the 2011 edition of the event, the question was, what is your favorite deep, elegant, or beautiful explanation?
All right, man. All right.
June, what's your favorite explanation? It's got to be deep, elegant, or beautiful. Or ideally all three.
Yeah. Probably all three. That's probably how you win the crowd over the most. I don't know. I think it's cool that sharks can do. They don't have to breed to. See, this isn't a beautiful explanation. I wasn't ready. I was put on the spot.
This isn't elegant at all.
No, this is not elegant. This is a bad.
It might be deep depending on the sharks and sort of like how far down they are underwater. Maybe it's very deep indeed. I don't know.
Sharks. Parthenogenesis is what it's called. Parthenogenesis. Let me double check. It's very cool. Asexual reproduction in sharks. Very neat. They can do that. Certain sharks can do that. Very beautiful. You don't need a mate to reproduce.
That is beautiful.
That is beautiful. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It just took me a minute to Google to remember what it was. Not that beautiful, apparently.
Are you ready for my favorite deep, elegant, and beautiful explanation?
Yeah. This is from Epstein, right?
No, this is from me. Well, it's not from me. It is my personal favorite deep, elegant, and beautiful explanation. The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggle.
Yes. Okay, that is beautiful, elegant, and deep.
Karl Marx was cooking with that one.
Literally. Literally. No, that's great. That's
no.
one.
I'll read you Epstein's deep, elegant, and beautiful explanation.
Oh, no.
Mathematics ideals are universal truths. Biology is intrinsically based in deception. Predators in search of free energy would be able to decipher and consume if it weren't couched in a multi-layered encrypted form. Even self-deception acts as a defensive strategy. More later. Sorry for all the typos sent from my iPhone.
Also, it's crazy. This might be the first email sent from Epstein that doesn't have a typo, and it's the only time I've ever seen him apologize for the typos.
You're right.
There's no typos.
You're right. There aren't any typos.
No typos.
Like, it's got the weird comma and period placement, but there are no typos.
There are no typos, and the only time he does not.
That's so funny.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Anyway, how do we feel about this explanation? Do you find it deep, elegant, or beautiful?
I think it is, on a purely biological reality in terms of nature. A lot of strategies, a lot of different creatures in all sorts of different classes survive is based on deception. Great one is the stick bug, right? Looks like a stick, doesn't look like a bug.
Sure.
So, I guess that's kind of cool. I mean, saying intrinsically is crazy. I don't know if that's intrinsically true,
no.
But I think for some it is.
What does predators in search of free energy would be able to decipher and consume if it weren't couched in a multi-layered encrypted form mean?
That got no idea.
Okay, so you don't find that deep, elegant, or beautiful?
No, this reads as someone who is just bullshitting.
Yes.
He didn't study. He showed up to class late and was like, I have to say something. The teacher just called on me. I have to say some bullshit. I am lying to you right now. That's what that sounds like.
The more later at the end is so fucking funny too.
He's like, I'll get back to you on this one. I'll explain the predators in search of free energy on a later date. He's still working through that one.
Yeah.
No, Epstein is fucking stupid. Oh,
I also love how with this show, no matter what it is we are covering, even somebody as horrifying as Jeffrey Epstein, we can still find ways to laugh really, really hard. Because you have to.
It makes this bearable. It does, sadly.
Attendees of the 2011 summit, the Edge Summit. Oh, Edge Foundation. Get on the edge.
They're edging. They edge together. This is a gooning.
They get to the summit and they start edging. Yeah. Attendees include Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Sergey Brin, and Marissa Mayer. And Jeffrey Epstein was also there. Although, notably, his name was not included in any public-facing materials because, again, this was right after he got out of jail.
After they invited him still.
Yes.
They invited him, but they were like, this dude is toxic. They knew, but they still invited him. What does that fucking tell you about these people? What does it tell you about all the people that fucking attended? If you showed up, see the conviction from Epstein, you see that. You show up to an event and Epstein walks up to you like, hey, dude, how do you not just turn around and fucking
I would simply turn 360 degrees around and walk away. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's also possible, I guess, that the other attendees also didn't know that Epstein would be there. That is a possibility, but I don't find it particularly likely.
I guess I just find it hard to believe that if these people truly had a problem with him, they should have probably, left or made a big deal of it. I feel like the average person would be like, this is a pedophile. How could you not? How could you not just immediately think that?
I don't want to be in a room with this guy, right?
Exactly.
Particularly because, yes, it's particularly egregious in 2011 after he had already done prison time.
Yeah.
But even before that, I mean, for people who knew this guy, everybody knew what his deal was very clearly. From the 90s, people knew what was going on with this guy. Maybe they weren't fully privy to the absolute depths of his utter depravity, but this is a guy who was constantly walking around with very young women, different women every single day.
And people explicitly, like Donald Trump, said he likes very young women.
Yes.
It was part of his reputation. It was always a part of his reputation.
All of these women, many of whom were from Eastern Europe. I refuse to buy the idea that nobody had any idea of what was happening before the conviction. But the fact that they still fucking kept him around and kept emailing him and kept talking to him after the conviction just shows that there is no depths to which these people will not sink,
No. I mean, and I guess it shouldn't be surprising. I mean, look at ever since the Epstein files sort of have come to a head under this current Trump administration, people like Megyn Kelly will come out and be like, well, Epstein might have been a bad dude, but he was only dealing with barely legal people like 17-year-olds, not like 14-year-olds, not like a real pedophile. But then it's like we know in some of the files that he was dealing with people under the age of 14. Yeah,
Number
not true
two,
at all.
even
Disgusting.
if it were true, the crux of the thing is that he was constantly doing human trafficking.
Literally. And also 17 is still illegal. That's not barely legal.
No. And if you move somebody across state lines for those purposes, it's a federal crime. Like
what Matt Gaetz did, also almost in the Trump administration, did that too. Yeah, all these people. That's the thing, is all these people have engaged in either trafficking across different borders or sexual assault or pedophilia. They all fucking know. They all have engaged with this. All of the above in a lot of cases.
And the interesting thing too about Edge specifically, again, this is an organization that if you go on their website, chock full of articles, so many articles, year after year after year after year on top of their annual summit. And then in 2019, again, after Epstein died, Peter Aldhaus reported in BuzzFeed News, well, it turns out Edge was almost entirely funded by Jeffrey Epstein.
That's crazy, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? This was the Epstein summit. But the fact that it's people that we all know and hate, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
I think I mean, these were going on for many years. There was a lot of powerful people. I think I read the extensive list. A lot of people at different big companies, the biggest companies in the world still to this day, all have attended this.
Tony Fadell, the guy who designed the iPod and the Nest thermostat, he was one of the guys.
There's like Google people from like founded Google, all sorts of companies. And the fact that he sort of collected these people, saw these people as necessary, I guess, I don't even know if pawns are the right word, but he sort of like interestingly put together this like cabal of people that have so much control over our lives in regards to technology or government or surveillance in a lot of cases. Like so much of this was formulated by Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean,
he brought all these people together in these ways.
Not necessarily, right? This is the thing too, where I'm like, yes, sort of. I want to drill down to it just a little bit more, because I think that there is a tendency to see something like this and be like, oh my God, this is where it all happened. This is where it all came together.
Let me be conspiratorial.
I don't think that's quite what it is. What it is it's one of these many, many examples of a lot of different people coming together to rub shoulders and talk to each other about how brilliant they are. You've got this guy, John Brockman, the literary agent, who this was a way for him to get like book deals and shit like that. Because along with the direct contributions from Epstein, the other major way that this organization made money was by doing book deals. And they were able to like publish, here are the big things that you ought to know from the brilliant people of the Edge Summit, right? So it's not him doing his evil cabal of the most powerful people in the world and all making secret plans. I think he was probably doing some of that shit, but it was certainly networking. And what I can tell from reading all of this shit is that a lot of that was cultivated one-on-one. And the times where he was bringing people together, Epstein would be doing that on his terms at his places, particularly the island.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I guess I'm not saying like all of these people sat around and talked about how they're all pedophiles. I definitely don't think that was the case. Because, I mean, there is a reason why it was sort of an open secret for a long time, because Epstein tried to be at least somewhat careful with the avenues where a lot of this stuff happened, of course. It's hard for me to see the collection of people that he had gathered at his summit at Edge, just this organization he almost entirely funded. It's hard for me to see the collection of characters here and also look at just where we are in the world right now and be like, this is a little fucking weird. This is a little too on the nose here.
It's very weird.
Yeah. Definitely. I think it was for sure, almost certainly for like networking and just to put like on like resume shit. I think in the forefront, that's certainly like probably how he pitched it to some of these people. But I will be conspiratorial. I will absolutely believe the craziest thing.
I don't really know what to make of all this or take away. What I will say is that if you go to edge.org, you'll notice that their output drops off precipitously in 2019.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Huh.
I don't know, man. I think it keeps coming back to this thing with especially this most recent document drop, the 1 million files on the Epstein files. It's been so mind-blowing to be like, oh, this crazy thing that sort of led us to where we are politically, sociopolitically, Epstein was also involved in this.
He was there.
That's crazy.
And two, like, for everything that we do know about, think about all the things that we don't know. That's the part that makes me crazy. And that's the thing that drove me into a moderate state of madness while preparing this episode.
Yeah.
This is the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. And for every edge.org summit, there are 100 more events that are not public in any way, shape, or form, have a much more selective guest list, and probably had people who were privy to really, really dark shit.
Yeah.
And I think you can drive yourself a little bit crazy trying to imagine all of those possibilities. I will say, Martin Nowak, that guy knows a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he did some shit. That's my intuition. But I can't prove it. I can't prove any of this. I don't have the information. And a better future where we all have a stake in what is going on, where we keep our titans of industry and academia accountable, that's a world where we would try to answer those fucking questions.
Yeah. Instead, we just have a lot of documents not even released. We still don't have the full files. A lot of what we do have are redacted.
And are very fucking difficult to comb through.
Yeah. And clearly, the people in charge right now, or maybe ever, have no interest in doing so.
No.
Trump every day is like, can we just move on? Can we move on from the Epstein files? We have other things to deal with. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, does this not sicken you to your core? Like, obviously it doesn't for Donald Trump, but like the average person.
It makes me sick, yes.
It sickens me to my core that there is not any level of accountability, or even questioning these people. I continue to go back to, how is Nowak still at Harvard? That is insane.
It's fucking nuts.
And I don't know. Who knows if we'll ever know if Epstein ever attempted to put together his like ranch where he wanted to impregnate 20 people. I don't think he ever got that, but he certainly probably tried.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll ever truly know. But he had some fucking weird thoughts about, like, it's very worrisome to me that the guy who is absolutely a pedophile wanted endless supplies of children. Because I don't even know for him if it was just like a Elon Musk thing where it's like, oh, I want a legacy. Oh, I want perfect genes. I do think Epstein wanted perfect gene humans. He certainly wanted that. But he wanted that in no small part because of the ideology of the people he paid to hang out with, basically. Yeah, which I guess I'm finding out and realizing there's a lot of those people in these institutions at the highest level, and that's very concerning as well. Good luck putting a bow on this one.
And you know what? Maybe that's just where I have to leave it. I can't put a bow on it. I'm just going to keep looking and listening, but I am definitely not going to be actively reaching Jeffrey Epstein at all anymore in the immediate future, because that shit is just too tough on my brain.
It's dark, dude. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll learn more. Maybe we'll get more document releases. But as of now, I mean, what we have is just horrifying.
But hopefully you, dear listener, have been entertained or enlightened
learned something
by this episode today.
You have a new Epstein fact. About his ranch. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just all so bad.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
But hey, you know what's not bad? Going to patreon.com/illconceived.
I think that's I like that. I like our Patreon.
When you go there, you can get access to our bi-weekly B-sides. We do this main show that you're listening to every other week. And then in the off weeks, we do a Patreon-only episode where we dig a little bit more into some of the material that we have not quite been able to get to in the main episode. I think we're going to be talking a little bit about the mechanics of gene editing.
Ooh, okay.
And just like CRISPR and all of that stuff that I wanted to get to it, but it just didn't quite fit in this episode. I also should note that, your emails that you send us, we will always read at least a few of those as part of those B-sides as well. So if there's anything about this episode that has made you be like, oh, this is interesting, I would like to talk about this, or I would like to know about this, again, send us those emails, illconceivedpod@gmail.com, and we will incorporate some of them either into the B-sides or into future main feed episodes of our show. Also, I said it before, but I'll say it again, please leave us reviews or ratings if you're enjoying our show. We're looking to make big moves in this year. And, there's nothing that serves better for us as we hype up the show than your words specifically being like, oh, this is what the show means to me, or this is why I like it. Again, if you hate it, just keep it to your fucking self, pal. We don't need that kind of negativity in our lives.
You know what they say, if you have something rude to say, don't say it at all.
That's right. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein should have taken that advice to heart.
We'd be in a different world, maybe.
God. We'll see you next week, babies.
Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
See ya.